Today will be part 2 of the attractions that are available at the parks. I'll be sharing some guidance so that you and your party can take full advantage of your options when you're in Walt Disney World. Hello and welcome to the Let's Go to Disney podcast. I'm your host Oliver. Today's Sunday, November 5th, and you're listening to episode 9, Guide to Attractions in Walt Disney World, part 2. Before we get into today's main topic, here's what's going on in the parks right now. It's November, so Christmas hit Walt Disney World in a big way this week. Decorations have appeared in Magic Kingdom, bows, garlands, wreaths, and the ginormous Christmas tree. Jungle Cruise has officially been converted to Jingle Cruise for the holiday season. The gingerbread houses and arrangements across property are also officially being erected as we speak, including the massive house at the Grand Floridian Resort, which is set to open on November 8th. Disney Parks blog shared their foodie guide to Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party for 2023. There are so many party-exclusive treats that look amazing, and I can't wait to try some of these. There are a few savory options and, of course, a bunch of visually appealing sweet treats. Auntie Gravity's Galactic Goodies will have the Reindeer Chow Sundae with chocolate soft serve, pretzels, cereal, M&Ms, and hot fudge, as well as the lump of coal in your stocking, which is a cookies and cream milkshake topped with whipped cream, cookies and cream crumbles, and a chocolate donut hole. Casey's Corner will have the Candy Cane Tart, which is a chocolate tart with peppermint ganache topped with candy cane colored meringue. At Cool Ship, there will be the Magic Holiday Tree, which is a graham cracker crust, topped with coconut, pecans, and M&Ms. This looks like a Christmas tree and it's very cute. Cosmic Rays will have a couple of savory options, the Holiday Pot Roast Melt, which will be beef on toasted bread with cheese and beef gravy, as well as a Holiday Turkey Burger topped with stuffing, provolone cheese, and cranberry chutney on a brioche bun. On the sweet side, they'll have the Christmas Cookie Cake Roll with buttercream topped with sprinkles. The Friar's Nook will serve up some savory options as well, the Holiday Ham Fried Pie, pastry, stuffed with ham, candied sweet potatoes, and pecans, with pineapple glaze as well as the Italian beef tots covered in beef, cheese curds, and pot roast gravy. For sweets, there will be the Peppermint Snowman, which will be a chocolate brownie topped with cookies and cream peppermint mousse. This legitimately looks and is shaped like a snowman. It's a very cute treat. As well as the Winter Milkshake, which will be a creamy coconut milkshake with whipped cream, cinnamon, and crisp pearls. Golden Oak Outpost will have the Orange Gingerbread Shake, which will be an orange slushie layered with gingerbread cookie crumbles and whipped cream and gingerbread spice. I'm not sure about that one. There will also be a gingerbread cake with cream cheese frosting and dulce de leche ganache, topped with a gingerbread chocolate man. Now that sounds yummy. Over at the Main Street Bakery, you'll find a seasonal mini cinnamon roll with red icing, sprinkles, and a chocolate mini bow, as well as the Letter to Santa flourless chocolate cake with hot cocoa mousse, topped with marshmallow and chocolate pieces. This looks like a mailbox, and it's such a pretty treat. I'll definitely be trying this one. For savory options, Pecos Bill Tall Tale Inn and Cafe will have the chicken tamale with mild red and green chili sauces, served with rice, pinto beans, and queso fresco. For sweets, they will have the Chocolate Eggnog Reindeer, which is a chocolate tart with eggnog mousse and chocolate antlers, and the Orange Cranberry Pineapple Punch. Looks and sounds very sweet. Plaza Ice Cream Parlor will have the Peppermint Brownie Sundae with peppermint flavored ice cream, hot fudge, and candy cane sprinkles, served on a brownie. Sleepy Hollow Refreshments will have a spin on their usual waffle offerings with a Holiday Waffle Sundae, which will be a red velvet waffle with M&Ms, peppermint ice cream, and hot fudge, as well as the Milk and Cookies for Santa, which will be brown sugar cookies topped with chocolate chip cookie dough mousse, milk mousse, and chocolate chip cookies. Yikes, call the dentist. Over at Storybook Treats, you'll find the Sugar Plum Sundae with sugar plum soft serve on top of sugar cookie crumbs with whipped cream, pearls, and cotton candy. And last but certainly not least, Sunshine Tree Terrace will serve up Santa's Belt Buckle, another very visually appealing treat. This will be a pistachio mousse with dark chocolate truffle and a chocolate buckle. They will also serve the Cranberry Citrus Float with orange vanilla soft serve twist and boba pearls. The majority of these items are new this year and exclusive to the party. There is so much I want to try, so when we're there at the end of the month, looks like we'll spend a small fortune and be overly stuffed. With that said, let's get into today's main topic. Last week, we covered the different attractions, meet and greets, and shows that are available at Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom, and today we'll be following that up with EPCOT and Hollywood Studios. Like I've said before, I love each of the 4 parks for different reasons, and they all have things to offer that set them apart and make them worth visiting. Let's kick things off at EPCOT. When I first went to Disney World, EPCOT was probably my least favorite park, but as I've visited more and more and as I've gotten older, I love EPCOT so much and I love spending time there. There's a lot going on here. It's a very large park when you consider the space at the front of the park and add the World Showcase on top of that. Between the attractions, shows, festivals, food booths, pavilions, and restaurant offerings, it's a lot. In recent years, EPCOT has been undergoing a huge transformation, and there's been construction going on since 2019, and there's walls all over the park to the point where the park has been facetiously named Walcott. Since then, Bits of the park have been reopening. Journey of Water, inspired by Moana, just opened on October 16th, and World Celebration, the last of the new EPCOT neighborhoods to be completed, will open to the public in December. No specific date has been set yet. This will tie in the other two new EPCOT neighborhoods, which are World Discovery and World Nature. So, starting at the front of the park when you first enter, you'll see Spaceship Earth, which, if you're not familiar, is the big geodesic sphere, or the big golf ball. That is the weenie of EPCOT. This houses the attraction of the same name, and it does not have a height requirement. This is a slow, dark ride that takes you up through history with scenes of different eras, which highlights different and significant advancement in human history. It is available on Genie Plus, and you must transfer from ECV to wheelchair for this one, and then to the ride vehicle. This can sometimes get a higher wait early in the morning because this is the first attraction people see when they come in the front gates. But generally speaking, it doesn't have a long wait, so if it's too long, wait and come back. It is an iconic attraction though, so I would definitely put it on your list to experience. At the end of this attraction, you come out into Project Tomorrow, inventing the wonders of the future. Here you'll find games and interactive elements that are good for all ages. Behind and to the right of Spaceship Earth, you'll find the World Nature area. The first building on your right houses aquariums where you'll find coral reefs, invertebrates, manatees, sharks, rays, reef fish, sea turtles, among others. You'll find Bruce's Shark World, which is an interactive area. There are also two attractions here, the first being Turtle Talk with Crush. This is a fun show featuring Crush from Finding Nemo, and it's structured as a Q&A session, which is fun for the littles. This is on Genie Plus and is accessible. This never has a long wait. Right next to this, you'll find the Seas with Nemo and Friends, which is a dark, slow ride that takes you through various scenes from Finding Nemo. This is a cute attraction and again, fun for the littles in your party, especially if they're Finding Nemo fans. It is on Genie Plus, and if you're in an ECV, you must transfer to a wheelchair for this one. This attraction also doesn't get a very long wait, so I wouldn't prioritize it. Directly across from the Seas, still in World Nature, is the newest attraction to open in Walt Disney World. So new, it's actually only officially been open for 2 weeks. Journey of Water, inspired by Moana, is a walkthrough attraction that educates and delights. It highlights the cycles that water goes through, and there are interactive elements to experience during the walk. There are 2 paths here. One where you can get wet, and one where you will stay dry. In terms of accessibility, you can remain in your ECV or wheelchair, but you must take the dry path. Unlike the other attractions to open in recent history, this is not an individual lightning lane. A standby queue is available. They do operate a virtual queue as well on this one, but it's opening at 8:45, not at 7, like Tron and Guardians of the Galaxy. This, of course, is subject to change. This is accurate as of this recording, but check the My Disney Experience app before you go to make sure nothing has changed. Again, this is different than what Disney has done in the past, so I'm curious to see where things will go in the future. Continuing on from here, you'll encounter the Land Pavilion. In here, you'll find 3 attractions among other things, namely Sunshine Seasons, which is a massive quick service location. Back here, you'll find the Soarin' attraction. Now, normally this is Soarin' over the world, but currently it's Soarin' over California for a limited time to celebrate Disney's 100th. As you may have guessed, this is normally shown at Disneyland in California, so it is a treat to experience this on the East Coast. This attraction takes you gliding over different scenes shown on a large IMAX type screen. This is a classic attraction and one of my favorites, and they pump in smells to go with the scenes, and I don't know you guys, there's just something about it. It's a must-do in my opinion. This does have a 40-inch height requirement because of the ride vehicle, and you must transfer from your wheelchair or ECV to experience the attraction. It is on Genie Plus, and on busy days, the wait can be long, so it can be worth snagging the Lightning Lane if you purchase Genie Plus, but I wouldn't worry about it first thing. It's largely available throughout the day. The second attraction in here is Living with the Land. This is a boat ride that takes you through some educational scenes as well as the extensive edible crops and the farming of certain fish that they use in the EPCOT restaurants. They show how they maximize the available space and make the whole operation sustainable. A lot of people don't get the ride or don't enjoy it, but it's a must-do for us on our trip. It's a very relaxed, leisurely ride, and I like seeing the different crops. My littles enjoy seeing the fish as well. It's a nice break in the afternoon after walking around the World Showcase on a hot day. You can transfer from ECV to wheelchair to get on one of the boats, and it is on Genie Plus, but it doesn't usually have a very long wait at all, if any. And last in the land, you'll find Awesome Planet, which is a 10-minute film showcasing remarkable scenes from around the world. It's not on Genie Plus, it is accessible, and never has a long wait. And continuing on walking towards the World Showcase, you'll find the Imagination Pavilion on your right. Inside here, you'll find Journey into the Imagination with Figment. This is a slow ride where Figment, the purple dragon character from this attraction, takes you through a tour of the Imagination Institute. I'm going to call this attraction quirky. If you're a Figment fan, please don't come at me, but I'm not a big fan of this one. There are some big Figment fans out there, and I'm not one to judge. If you like it, that's 100% cool with me. When the popcorn buckets were out for this guy, they went like hotcakes. It is on Genie Plus, but doesn't get too long of a wait, and you may remain in your ECV or wheelchair for this one. The ImageWorks What If Labs are at the exit and include interactive elements for the littles. You'll also be able to meet and greet with Joy from Inside Out here when she's available. Those times are posted on the My Disney Experience app. In this pavilion, you'll also find the Disney and Pixar Short Film Festival, which is popular Disney and Pixar short films in 4D. This is on Genie Plus and is accessible. This is also where you can currently meet and greet with Mickey and Minnie in their Platinum Disney 100th outfits. You'll be able to find those times on the My Disney Experience app. All right, from here, let's keep right in the park, and that will take us into the World Showcase. Front and center in front of the World Showcase, at World Showcase Plaza, there's a Pluto meet and greet. Check the My Disney Experience app for those details. Now, people are pretty opinionated on which country you should start your tour around the World Showcase, right into Canada or left into Mexico. Today, for no particular reason, I'm starting in Canada. One quick thing for the littles, in each of the pavilions, there are EPCOT fun stops. This works with the Play Disney Parks app, and you can collect activity cards from each country you visit. Each features facts and activities related to the culture and traditions of each country. With that said, in the Canadian Pavilion, you'll find the Canada Far and Wide film in Circle Vision 360, which is 12 minutes long and is narrated by Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara. It's worth checking out for that alone. Next, we're heading into the UK Pavilion. This is a good time to mention Disney's DuckTales World Showcase Adventure. This is an interactive mission that uses the Play Disney Parks app to help Scrooge McDuck, Huey and Dewey, and Louie find lost artifacts in the following countries: UK, France, Japan, Germany, China, Norway, and Mexico. And you'll find the first, or seventh, depending on which side you start on, in the UK Pavilion. Aside from that, there's a Winnie the Pooh meet and greet, as well as an Alice meet and greet in this pavilion. Check the My Disney Experience app for times, as they are subject to change. From there, we're heading into France. I'd just like to quickly mention that between UK and France pavilions, there's actually a second entrance to EPCOT, the International Gateway entrance. This is unique to EPCOT, as it's the only park with two entrances. The Skyliner station for EPCOT is just outside this entrance as well, so if you're coming in or leaving via the Skyliner, this is where you'll enter or exit. There's a lot going on in the France pavilion. There's a meet and greet with Princess Aurora, as well as Belle. As always, check the My Disney Experience app for times. There's also the film Impressions de France, or Impressions de France, which is an 18-minute film showcasing France. Next door to this, you'll also find the Beauty and the Beast Sing-Along, which is a 15-minute film featuring the songs from the classic animated movie. And last but certainly not least is probably the busiest attraction in EPCOT that is on Genie Plus, which is Remy's Ratatouille Adventure. This charming trackless ride takes you down to the size of a rat and through scenes from the movie Ratatouille. This is a mix of physical sets and screens, and it's one of my favorites. Like I said, it is on Genie Plus, and it's one of, if not the most popular attraction on Disney Plus, so I would definitely prioritize it as your potential first pick of the day. In terms of accessibility, you can transfer from ECV to wheelchair for the ride. This does require you to wear 3D glasses because of the screen elements. I don't want to give everything away, but this attraction is super cute and it's definitely worth your time. If you're coming in for early entry via the International Gateway entrance, you are right beside the France Pavilion, so this should 100% be your first stop. Next up is the Morocco Pavilion. This pavilion is visually stunning, and if you look at the artwork and the details in the building here, you can see the thought and detail that went into it. There's a Jasmine meet and greet in the pavilion. Keep an eye on the My Disney Experience app for that. There's also a gallery here named Race Against the Sun, Ancient Technique to Modern Competition that highlights perspectives on life in the Sahara and 2 modern-day extreme race events. Next door is the Japan Pavilion. This pavilion also has beautiful and impressive architecture with several dining options. Inside the pavilion, there's a gallery named Bijutsukan Gallery, which showcases the history of the cute culture in Japan. There's also the large Mitsukoshi department store inside the pavilion, which has interesting merchandise. It's worth walking through there to see what they have. There's also the Matsuriza stage show here, which showcases taiko, which is a form of drumming. Check the My Disney Experience app for show times. Next up, and right in the middle of the action, in the World Showcase, is the American Adventure Pavilion. There's a lot going on here as well. Here you'll find the America Gardens Theater. Depending on the time of year, there will be shows or concerts held here. For example, the Candlelight Processional, which is narrated by celebrity hosts, will be starting here this month during the Festival of the Holidays. Inside the pavilion, you can catch Voices of Liberty, which is a live show featuring performers providing vocal performances highlighting America. Check the My Disney Experience app for showtimes. There's also the American Heritage Gallery featuring art, as well as the American Adventure Show, which is a 30-minute feature that includes audio animatronics, film, and music. On the other side of the American adventure is the Italy Pavilion. In terms of attractions and meet and greets, there's not a lot going on in Italy, but you can find Sergio clowning around in this pavilion. This performer is a master juggler and mime and is funny and lighthearted. He has several showtimes throughout the day that are posted on the My Disney Experience app, and it usually lasts somewhere around 20 minutes or so. There's also 3 shops in Italy where they sell perfume, handbags, masks, kitchenware, among other items. Next to Italy is Germany, one of my favorite pavilions after France. This episode is not about food, but Caramel Kuche snack location is 100% worth your time and money, and Summerfest sells the Schofferhofer grapefruit beer, which is delicious. But I digress. In this pavilion, you'll find a Snow White meet and greet, and at the Germany gazebo, there will sometimes be live entertainment. Times and artists will be listed on the app. There's also a miniature train village modeled after a mid-century Bavarian town with tiny homes, shops, foliage, and of course, a train. Moving right along, there's a China Pavilion. At the risk of sounding like a broken record, the architecture and the buildings in this pavilion are very well done and are visually pleasing. In terms of attractions here, you'll find another Circle Vision 360 film called Reflections of China. It's 12 minutes long and it's definitely worth a visit as well. There's also a Mulan meet and greet in the pavilion. Check the My Disney Experience app for times. There's also the House of Whispering Willows, which gives you an idea of what the Disney Resort is like in Shanghai. Little side note here, I've never done any international Disney parks, but they are definitely on my list for future travel. I'd like to visit all of them at some point or another. Next, we're heading into the Norway Pavilion. Frozen fans unite! This pavilion is home to the popular attraction Frozen Ever After. This is a dark boat ride that takes you through various scenes with audio animatronics from the movie. If you've got Frozen fans in your party like I do when my daughter is with us, this is a must-do. It's one of the 3 most popular attractions on Genie+, so if you're not booking Remy's Ratatouille Adventure first, this is another one to consider. In terms of accessibility, you must transfer from your wheelchair or ECV to the ride vehicle. If you're coming in for early entry and you're entering from the front entrance, this is a good one to prioritize first thing. There's also an Elsa and Anna meet and greet here at Royal Summer House, which is available on Genie+. There's also the Stave Church Gallery, which features legendary gods and myths from the Vikings. And last but certainly not least, there's the Mexico Pavilion. You'll sometimes find live music here from Mariachi Cobre or Marimba de las Americas. Sorry for the pronunciation. There's also a Donald Duck meet and greet outside of the pyramid. Check the My Disney Experience app for more details. Inside the pyramid itself, you'll find the Grand Fiesta Tour starring the 3 Caballeros. This is a leisurely boat ride that features the humorous 3 ducks. This ride is nothing to write home about, but there's usually a very short wait, if not walk on, so if you find yourself in the pyramid, you can hop on usually with little to no wait. There's also the Mexico Folk Art Gallery, which features a vibrant exhibit featuring the work of Mexican artists. Now, that's just a brief overview of what's available in the World Showcase. I didn't touch on shops, dining locations, and food booths. When you factor all those, you can spend several park days just enjoying all the pavilions, but most people don't have that long on their trips, so unfortunately, you kind of have to pick and choose what you'd like to experience, and anything else becomes the cherry on top. Now, on the left side of Spaceship Earth, when you're facing it from the front of the park, is where we're heading to next, which is the World Discovery area of the park. The first attraction I'll cover is Test Track. This is the 3rd most popular Genie Plus Lightning Lane behind Remy's Ratatouille Adventure and Frozen Ever After. So if you purchase Genie Plus, it is a good use of it. It does have a 40-inch height requirement. When you first enter this attraction, you'll head to a screen and scan your ticket or magic band. Then you'll build a virtual car. After that, you'll scan your ticket or band a second time before you board the vehicle, and you'll put your creation to the test. This is a fun one and one of the fastest rides in all of Disney World. Fair warning, part of the attraction that takes you real fast is outdoors, so the ride does shut down during inclement weather, so something to keep in mind there. You must transfer from your wheelchair or ECV to ride this one. Last week, I told you guys a story where we got stuck on Barnstormer before our Cinderella's Royal Table reservation. Well, on our last trip, we got stuck on this attraction right before our Space 220 reservation. I know what you're thinking. Why were you riding attractions so close to your reservation times? Well, for this one, we had a lightning lane in about a half hour, but of course, the ride broke down for an extended amount of time. Thank God it's in the same area of the park, so I ran ahead of my wife and kids to tell the hostess we were almost 20 minutes late. But they were so great about it and let us in without any problem, which I was so thankful for. Again, be patient and kind with the cast members. If they can accommodate you, they almost surely will. Side note, we had a great time at the restaurant. The kids loved it. The whole experience was great. While we're on the topic of Space 220, right next door to the entrance of the restaurant is the Mission Space attraction. This also has a 40-inch height requirement, so in terms of rides that may impact people with motion sickness, if any ride will bother you, it's probably this one. So there's actually 2 sides to this attraction. Both are space shuttle simulators, but the orange side is more intense and takes you on a mission to Mars. The green side is more gentle and takes you in orbit around Earth. Having said that, if you're prone to motion sickness at all, I'd avoid it altogether. The orange side definitely has you experiencing G-forces, and it's actually very cool when you think of the technology and how it makes you feel. It is on Genie Plus, and you must transfer from your wheelchair or ECV for this one. Right next door, you'll find the Advanced Training Lab, which is an interactive play area for the littles. In this area, you'll also find the Jammers. These cast members are percussionists playing on trash cans. They have several shows throughout the day, and it's worth to stop and watch for sure. And I seriously saved the best for last of this two-part series, Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. So I'm careful about hyping things up too much because I want people to manage their expectations when it comes to Disney, but this attraction is simply amazing. The first time I rode it, I couldn't wipe the smile off my face for probably 2 hours after. This attraction has a couple of pre-shows that are funny and whimsical that I really enjoy, and the ride itself, man oh man, I really don't want to give the fun details away, but Disney describes it as an omni-coaster, which really only means that it's not one-directional and the vehicle itself can spin. It's currently my favorite coaster. Period. It's just an unreal attraction. I legitimately love it. Fair warning, it does spin a significant amount, and people who are prone to motion sickness have reported feeling sick after, so this is something to keep in mind. If it can be managed with gravel or something, however, I wouldn't skip it. It's just that good. It does have a 42-inch height requirement, and it is not on Genie Plus. It is an individual lightning lane. And just like Tron, it doesn't have a standby line, only a virtual queue that you can join daily at 7 a.m. or 1 p.m. and 6 p.m. on nights with extended evening hours if you're a Disney Deluxe Resort guest. In terms of accessibility, you must transfer from your wheelchair or ECV to ride. In terms of nighttime entertainment, there have been changes with more coming. Back in April, Harmonious had its last show, which utilized the big barges that were in the World Showcase Lagoon. Since then, EPCOT Forever has returned and has been the nighttime spectacular since. But beginning on December 5th of this year, Disney will debut a new nighttime spectacular named Luminous, The Story of Us. I'm very excited to see what that will be like. There's also a nightly recurring light show on Spaceship Earth, which right now is a special Disney 100th show to the music of When You Wish Upon a Star. It plays multiple times throughout the night. Next, let's talk about Hollywood Studios. So in sheer size alone, Hollywood Studios is quite a bit smaller when you compare it to Magic Kingdom and EPCOT. Some people say it's a half-day park, and while it's true that there are fewer attractions, there are a lot of heavy hitters that run up big wait times. But there are also several shows to check out that can definitely make up a full day. Let's dive in and start down Sunset Boulevard with one of my favorite rides in all of Disney World. Side note, I feel like I've said that a lot already, but what can I say? I love Disney World and their attractions. So, kicking things off at Twilight Zone Tower of Terror. This has a 40-inch height requirement. It's a classic attraction and is themed to the Twilight Zone, and you're entering a hotel where mysterious things have occurred, and you're about to experience them as well. Fair warning, this ride has drops. Many of them, in succession. It's a thrill ride, no doubt about that. Some people have a hard time with drop rides, so be mindful of that. You may want to warn your kids, or not, depending on which strategy you're employing. We let this be kind of a surprise for both our kids when they were tall enough to ride, and they both absolutely loved it. In terms of accessibility, you must transfer to a wheelchair from ECV and then to the ride vehicle. This attraction is on Genie Plus and is definitely a good use of it. Right next to Tower of Terror, you'll find Rock and Roller Coaster starring Aerosmith. This is tied for the highest height requirement at 48 inches. It is a dark thrill coaster and is the only coaster on all of Walt Disney World with inversions. It's fast and thrilling, and I do really love this ride. This will satisfy the older kids and thrill seekers alike. For accessibility, it's ECV to wheelchair and then to ride vehicle, and it is on Genie Plus. Again, good use of Lightning Lane here. Just around the corner from Rock and Roller Coaster, you'll find the Lightning McQueen's Racing Academy. It's a 10-minute show with a Lightning McQueen animatronic. It's a cute show and worth a stop for the Cars fans in your party. Back up Sunset Boulevard near Tower of Terror, there's Beauty and the Beast, live on stage show. This is a live-action musical of Beauty and the Beast, and it's really well done. Again, it's definitely worth a stop here. It's accessible, and it is on Genie Plus. These shows are always really well done at Disney. It's next level in my opinion. There are several show times each day, so check the My Disney Experience app. Coming back to the center of the park, if you're looking at the Grauman's Chinese Theater and turn right, under the Hollywood Studios arch, you'll find the Animation Courtyard. In there is the Disney Junior Dance Party. Here you'll be able to dance and sing along with junior friends. There are several showtimes throughout the day. Check the My Disney Experience app. It's accessible and it is on Genie Plus. Down the street from there, you'll find the Star Wars Launch Bay, which has immersive exhibits featuring costumes, models, artwork, and props. There are also Star Wars meet and greets here like Chewbacca, Darth Vader, and BB-8. Right beside Launch Bay is Voyage of the Little Mermaid, which has been closed since the pandemic with no reopening in sight. Disney has shared very little about the future of the space. Back in the Echo Lake area in front of the theater, to the far left when you're facing it, you'll find Indiana Jones's Epic Stunt Spectacular. This is a live-action stunt show, and it's really entertaining. I can't go to Hollywood Studios without seeing this show. I know some people find it tired, but I love it. It's super entertaining. It is outside seating, but it is covered, so it'll offer some relief on a hot day. Quick reminder that this show won't operate when there's inclement weather for the safety of the cast members and the actors. This is accessible and is on Genie+. Right beside the theater to the left is the first time in forever a Frozen sing-along celebration. This is a sit-down show in a dark air-conditioned space, which is a nice break. This is a quick breakdown of the Frozen story done with music and humor. There's humor for the adults in this show, and it's actually really enjoyable. The first time I saw this show was before our kids, and I loved it then, and I love it now. It is accessible, and it is on Genie+. Definitely worth a stop. Now, after all the references to the Greiman's Chinese Theater, what the heck is even inside that place? Well, once upon a time, it was the Great Movie Ride, which will be a sore spot for some people, but the only constant in the parks is change, so I won't dwell on that. Currently, it's home to Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. This trackless ride takes you along with Mickey, Minnie, and the gang through a series of fun scenes. I personally really enjoy this attraction, and I can't get that song out of my head after I get off, or when I hear it on social media. You either know exactly what I'm talking about, or you will when you experience it. You must transfer from your wheelchair or ECV for this one, and it is on Genie+. Down and behind to the right of the theater is Walt Disney Presents, which is a showcase of the man himself. The walkthrough exhibit finishes with a 15-minute documentary named Walt Disney, One Man's Dream. You may also catch a sneak peek of upcoming Disney or Pixar movies instead of One Man's Dream, depending on when you're visiting. Across the street at Pixar Plaza, you'll find character meet and greets. Depending on when you're there, you may encounter Edna Mode, Mr. and Mrs. Incredible, Frozone, and Sully from Monsters, Inc. Back around the front of the theater, on the other side of the building that houses the Frozen sing-along, there's a 10-minute animated Mickey short called Vacation Fun, and right beside, there's an Olaf meet and greet. Across the street on Commissary Lane at Red Carpet Dreams, there's another meet and greet which features the gang in their Hollywood best. Directly across from the Olaf meet and greet is the Star Tours attraction. This has a 40-inch height requirement. This is a Star Wars attraction, and it was the first Star Wars attraction in the park and predates Galaxy's Edge by a lot. So to be clear, this attraction is not in Galaxy's Edge. This is a 3D motion simulator ride featuring different scenes from Star Wars. Fair warning, if you have motion sickness, you could be impacted by this. You must transfer to a wheelchair from your ECV and then to the ride vehicle for this attraction. It is on Genie+, but I wouldn't prioritize it at all. It's very easy to get and usually has very low waits throughout the day. Besides Star Tours, towards the entrance to Galaxy's Edge, there's Grand Avenue where you'll find the Muppet Vision 3D show, which is a mix of live action and film. It's in an air-conditioned theater and it is accessible. It is also on Genie+, but again, not necessary in my opinion, and I wouldn't prioritize it. Alright, next we're heading to Galaxy's Edge. So, this land is themed to Star Wars and more specifically, Black Spire Outpost on the planet Batuu, original to the Disney parks. In Galaxy's Edge, you'll find one of the most popular attractions in all of Disney World, which is Rise of the Resistance. This has a 40-inch height requirement. This is an attraction worthy of the name. Simply calling it a ride is not doing it justice. If you've never been on it, I don't want to hype it up too much, but I got emotional when I first experienced it. Like actual tears. Now, to be fair, I'm a huge Disney nerd and a big Star Wars fan, but what they did with this attraction is truly special. I don't want to spoil it, but the experience from start to finish is about 20 minutes, and it's part interactive, part trackless vehicle, part simulator, all in one, and the end product is one amazing experience. It is not on Genie+, it is an individual lightning lane. It has long waits from very shortly after early entry to the very end of the night, so I recommend rope dropping the attraction or doing the individual lightning lane. But you can wait if you wish, but be prepared for a long wait. Having said that, it's totally worth it. In terms of accessibility, you do have to transfer from your ECV or wheelchair. If you have motion sickness, you could be affected by this, but it's pretty tame for the most part, and I think you would be really missing out if you sat this one out. The other attraction in Galaxy's Edge is Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. This attraction has a 38-inch height requirement. It takes you into the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon, which is a dream come true for a lot of Star Wars fans. You and your party, and likely a few other guests, will embark on a journey piloting the Falcon and will encounter some perils along the way. This is a simulator attraction, so if you get motion sickness, that's something to keep in mind. Another thing to keep in mind as well is there are 6 seats in every cockpit. So unless you're in a party of 6, you'll likely be seated with another party. There's 2 pilots, 2 engineers, and 2 gunners. If you've got littles with you, one thing to keep in mind is they must sit beside or in front of you, not behind. Also, you don't control which position you sit in. But if you ask the cast members nicely, you may be able to wait to get to the position that you want, which is usually pilot. You must transfer from your ECV to wheelchair and then to ride vehicle for this attraction, and it is on Genie+ and a good use of it for sure. Next up, we're heading into Toy Story Land. This land has 3 attractions, and if you're entering from Galaxy's Edge entrance, The first one you'll encounter is Alien Swirling Saucers on your left. This ride has a 32-inch requirement, and it's a pretty simple spinning vehicle attraction. Not much to it, but for the little ones in your party, it is entertaining. It is on Genie Plus, but again, I wouldn't prioritize it, and you must transfer to the ride vehicle from your ECV or wheelchair. Next up, if you're coming in from the Pixar Plaza entrance, the first ride you'll encounter is Toy Story Mania on your left. This is a modern take on a midway shooter attraction and takes you around different scenes where you pull the cord on the cannon mounted on the ride vehicle to try to score as many points as possible. It's a fun time and you can get competitive with your party to add some spice to your experience. It is on Genie Plus and it does get a long wait at times. It is a good use of your Genie Plus purchase. You must transfer to the ride vehicle from your ECV or wheelchair. And last but certainly not least is Slinky Dog Dash. This is a fun coaster for the whole family. It does have a 38-inch height requirement, and in terms of thrills, I'd put it slightly faster than Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. It's definitely a fun, no frills, all thrills coaster. I really enjoy it. It's the most popular lightning lane in the park. So if you're purchasing Genie Plus, it's a good one to book first thing in the morning or to rope drop first thing. For accessibility, if you're in an ECV, you'll have to transfer to a wheelchair and then to the ride vehicle. And to wrap things up in Hollywood Studios, the nighttime entertainment. So the main show is Fantasmic, which has its own outdoor amphitheater. It's a really good show and definitely worth your time to check out. Depending on the time of year, there can be 1 or 2 shows, and they do have dining packages where you eat at one of the Hollywood Studios restaurants and get preferred seating for Fantasmic, something to consider there. Aside from that, there's 2 nighttime shows on the Grauman Theater. There's the Disney Movie Magic Show, which is a projection show featuring scenes and music from the movies, and The Wonderful World of Animation, which is a blend of projections and fireworks. The showtimes can be found on the My Disney Experience app. All of these are worth checking out, but if it has to be one or the other, I'd say go for Fantasmic. And that will wrap it up for this series. As you can see from last week's episode on Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom, and today with EPCOT and Hollywood Studios, there's a lot of attractions in the parks. Realistically, there's too much to do in one trip, and like I've said before, this is what I love about Disney. There's always a reason to come back and something new to experience. With that said, thank you so much for joining me today to talk Disney attractions. To make sure you don't miss any future episodes, make sure to subscribe to the podcast. I would also love it if you could take a moment to rate and review the show. This helps us reach more listeners, and I love the feedback. Make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram for much more magical content. The link tree down in the show notes will take you to all our socials. Have a great day, and we'll see you real soon.